We're going to find all the zeros. Basically, we're factoring the polynomial. Since we got, how many roots are we going to have?
3.
Yeah, we have 3 roots. Oh, excuse me. Which means we can't do what we do for quadratics with our slide and divide and all that good stuff. Okay, so we're going to make second step. Make a list of all the possible rational numbers. What did we do yesterday where we made a list? P and Q. And P's were the constant. And so for this one, it's -1, right? And Q was the coefficient, so it would be 3.
So is the constant always the last number?
Correct. Constant meaning just a number. There's
So
no x
no.
attached. Okay? All right, now we find all our factors. So our factors of 1 is just going to be plus and minus 1. And our factors of 3 is just going to be plus and minus 1 or plus and minus 3. It's all right, you come up and find it. All right, so to find the list of possible factors, we do the ratio of our P over Q. And so I have, well, 1 over 1 is just positive -1. And then 1 over 3 would give me plus or minus 1/3. So that means that my 3 roots are going to be either positive and -1 or positive -1/3. Okay? So I have 4 choices. All right, another thing to help narrow that list down is to look at how many negative and possible roots I could have. So we look at the signs at a regular x, and so that one's positive, that sign's negative, and that sign's positive. We don't look at the constant, we don't care about that. Okay? And we look at how many times it's changed. It went from positive to negative there, and then from negative to positive there. So I have 2 changes, which means I'm going to have 2 or 0 positive roots. Make sense? Ring bells? Okay, so for the negative x, I put a negative x in. So x cubed, or negative x cubed, is going to give me a negative 3x. Then negative x squared's positive x squared. But then I have the negative, so there's a negative and a negative. And then I have negative x in for 3, so there's another negative. I don't have any changes at all. So that means I should have 0 negative roots. Okay. So that's just to help us kind of pick and choose out of here. So like I'm going to pick either 1 or I'm going to pick 1/3 as my root to divide. Because the next step is for our synthetic division. So 3, -1, 3, -1. Which one do you want to use? 1 or 1/3?
Yes.
Yes? 1/3 or 1?
1/3.
It's up to you guys. Take a vote. 1. 1? Okay. So 3 times 1 is 3, which leaves me 2. 2 times 1 is 2, leaves me 5. Oh, look. I have a remainder. Not the right one. So, try again. Michael, what do you want to try?
1/3.
All right, so when I drop 3 down, 3 times 1/3 is 1. That gives me 0. 0 times 1/3 is 0. That gives me 3. 3 times 1/3 gives me 1. No remainder, yay. Right? So that means x is equal to 1/3. That means one of my factors is x is minus 1/3. Are you all with me on that? Okay. Now, since I started with a cube, that means I'm left with 3x squared. I don't have any x's. And then plus 3. Okay? Now, if my results is a degree 2, I solve factoring, use a quadratic formula or whatever. But since I have that perfect square thing going on and it's a plus 3, I'm going to get an imaginary number. Because if I did 3x squared equals negative 3, that means x squared is negative 1. I can't take the square root of the negative. That means that's just my factored form. Good? Ringing bells? Yes.
How do you know that like x minus 1/3 or x plus 1/3?
Because I started with x is equal to 1/3, because that's what I divided. And so to get it into factor, it's like saying x minus 1/3 equals 0. I was setting it equal to 0, so you just basically flip your sign. Good. Shall we do another one? Oh, yes, please, love to.
More.
More. All right. How many roots am I going to have this time? 4. Okay. Let's look at our P and Q. P is going to be what? Negative 27. Q is going to be what? 1. Now, the good thing when you have Q as 1, what happens? That's basically all your whole numbers, so you don't have to really worry about your ratios as much. So, what are all my factors of 27? 1 and 27. What else?
That's it.
3 and 9. No, 3 and 9. But that's it. So, for my list of possible factors, I'm going to have, because it's all over 1, plus or minus 1, plus or minus 3, plus or minus 9, and plus or minus 27. All right, so if I look at my positives and negatives, I have a positive for the x in fourth. I have a negative for my 2x cubed. I have a positive for 6x squared, and I have a negative. So I have 1 change, 2 change, 3 change. So that means I'm going to have 3 or 1 positive roots. Okay. What do you want to start with? What do you think? Oh. What are my choices? You said what? 3? All right. Since I gotta have 3 or 1 positive roots, that kind of leaves me down to 4 choices, right? So, all right, 1 and 3. That's gonna be 1 and 3. 6 and 3 gives me 9. 9 times 3 is 27. Oh, look at that. I get 27. So that means x is equal to 3.
Can you push the page down one?
Oh, sorry, my bad. Thank you. So I get a factor of x minus 3. And that's going to leave me with x cubed minus x, oh, I'm sorry, plus x squared plus 9x plus 9. But the goal is to get everything factored down to all of the roots, so I can't leave it at a cube. So what should I do? Do it again. Just rinse and repeat, basically. All right, so we tried 3 last time. What do you want to try this time? And you're just going to divide into what was left over. All right? What would you like to try this time? 9. When I do 1 down here, and I put 9 here, that's going to give me 10. 10 times 9 is going to get 90. Let's try 1. How about that? 1 times 1 is 1. That gives me 2. 2 times 1 is 2. I'm going to be in trouble, aren't I? That's not good. I don't want that one. But hey, what about -1? Because -1 times -1 gives me -1. That'll give me 0. -1 times 0 gives me 0, which gives me 9, which gives me -9, which turns this into a happy face. So if x is equal to -1, that means I now have x plus 1. And what am I left with? I have x squared, no x's, plus 9. And can I factor this x squared plus 9? You're all shaking your head yes. We do x plus 3 plus 3. I'm going to get x squared plus 6x plus 9. Because when I FOIL. Let's take look at this. If I have x squared plus 9 equals 0, can I take the square root of that? Not yet. So, anytime you see a square root in like a perfect square, if it's positive, till next week you can't do anything with it. Okay? Want to do one more? I have lots more examples, but one more? How are you doing on these, Matt? Okay. How many roots am I going to do? We're looking for 4, aren't we? All right, what's my next step? What do I want to do next? Huh? P and Q. Cam, what's my P? What's the P? What's the Q? 2, I agree. All right, so factors of 16. I got 1, 16, 2, 8, 4. Factors of 2, 1 and 2. All right, P over Q. I have plus and minus 1 over 1, which is 1. Then I have plus or minus 1 over 2. Then I have plus or minus 16. Then I have plus or minus 16 divided by 2, which gives me 8. Then I have plus or minus 2 over 1. And then I have plus or minus 2 over 2. Well, that's just 1. I already have that one there. All right. Plus or minus 8 over 1. Already have. Plus or minus 8 over 2 gives me 4. Then 4 over 1 I have. 4 over 2 is 2 I've got. So there's the list of all my possible factors. It's a nice healthy list. Alrighty, so let's analyze how many we're going to have positive and negatives. So f of x, I have a positive and a positive, then a negative, then a positive. There's no change here, but I got to change here and I got to change here. So I'm going to have 2 or no positives. And then for my negatives, that's going to be positive, that'll be negative, that'll be positive, and that'll be negative. So I got 1, 2, 3 changes. So I'm going to have 3 or 1 negatives. So when I'm looking for my factors, I might choose a negative one first. So what would you like to choose? What do you think? What are we choices? 1, 1/2, 2, 4. What do you think? It's usually better to start with a smaller number, so somebody pick a number. All right, there we go. So, negative 2 times 2 gives me negative 4, which leaves me with 3. Negative 2 times 3 is negative 6, which gives me negative 30. 60 gives me 40, not looking good. All right, so let's pick another number. 4? Can we do negative 4 since we've got more negatives? Okay. All right, so 2 times negative 4 is negative 8, which leaves me with 7. 7 times negative 4 is negative 28. Oh, that's negative 7, sorry, plus 27. So that leaves me with 4, correct? Negative 4 is negative 16. Oh, look at this. All right, so that means x is equal to negative 4. So that means I have one factor of x plus 4. And that means I'm left with 2x cubed minus 7x squared plus 4x plus 4. So I got to keep going. Pick another number. You know what? I like, since we have all these even numbers here, I kind of like, let's try 2. We tried -2, but let's try a positive, because it says I could have 2 or no positive, so, but with these 4s, it seems like it would divide it out, so I could be wrong, but let's try it. 2 times 2 is 4, that gives me -3. That gives me -6. Oh, look at this. -2 times 2, that's going to give me -4. So I have a root at x equals 2. So now I have x minus 2. Oh, it helps if you can see, huh? And I'm left with 2x squared minus 3x minus 2. All right, I'm down to my quadratic. You have 2 choices at this point. You can do your slide and divide or split the middle or whatever else you do with your quadratics. Or you can keep doing the synthetic and guessing with stuff. What do you want to do? All right, you do it slide and divide. Why? No, that's fine. You know, okay. Well, we can do it together. All right. So slide and divide. What factors of 4 are going to give me 3? Minus 4x plus x minus 2. And so when I group, I'm going to pull out a 2x. And be left with x minus 2. And then if I pull out a 1, I'm left with x minus 2. And so I can factor into 2x plus 1 and x minus 2.